Imagine being trapped in a concrete fortress on the edge of a cliff. State-of-the-art security, ocean waves crashing below, and a man asleep in the bed beside you who controls your every waking breath. This is Cecilia's life, and tonight, she is risking everything to escape it. Every footstep is calculated, every breath is muffled. She carefully drugs his water, disables the security cameras, and slips out into the freezing night. Her heart is pounding out of her chest as she climbs the compound wall, waiting for her getaway car. She jumps in, but just as she thinks she's safe, the car window shatters. A violent hand reaches in from the darkness, grabbing at her throat. She barely escapes, speeding away into the night. She is finally free from the billionaire tech genius who made her life a living hell. But what she doesn't know is that her nightmare hasn't even started yet. 2 weeks later, Cecilia is a ghost of a human being. She is hiding out at the home of a childhood friend, a massive, heavily built police officer. But even with a cop protecting her, she is completely paralyzed by agoraphobia. She can't even walk to the mailbox without suffering a panic attack. Her abuser is a brilliant pioneer in the field of optics. He sees everything. He controls everything. And Cecilia is terrified that at any moment, he will walk through the door and drag her back, until she gets the news that changes her life forever. Her sister arrives with a bombshell. Her abuser is dead. He took his own life inside his high-tech fortress. The relief washing over Cecilia is intoxicating. The man who haunted her every thought is gone. Even better, his lawyer brother informs her that she has been left a massive $5 million inheritance. For the first time in years, Cecilia breathes. She starts smiling. She starts planning a future. But this is a massive mistake because someone or something is watching her celebrate. The billions of dollars don't buy her peace. They buy her a false sense of security. It starts with the small things. She's cooking breakfast, turns her back for a second, and a massive grease fire erupts on the stove. A total accident, right? That night, she wakes up shivering. She looks down to see her blanket slowly, deliberately sliding off the bed, as if being pulled by an unseen hand. The viewer knows she isn't alone, but the sheer terror comes from the fact that she knows it too. She walks outside. The air is freezing. As she stares out into the empty driveway, she sees something that makes her blood run cold. A single puff of condensation, a breath in the cold air. But no one is standing there. Panic sets in. She runs an errand for a crucial job interview, desperate to rebuild her life. But when she reaches into her bag, her portfolio is gone. The very portfolio she packed just hours ago. Completely overwhelmed, her vision blurs. Her heart rate spikes. She collapses right there in the lobby. When she wakes up in the hospital, the doctor delivers a chilling piece of news. She didn't just faint. She was drugged with high levels of diazepam, the exact same drug she used to sedate her abuser the night she escaped. She realizes the horrifying truth. He isn't dead. He faked his suicide. And using his billions in optical technology, he has found a way to become completely invisible. But the real problem? If she tells anyone, they are going to lock her up in a psych ward. Her abuser doesn't just want to kill her. That would be too easy. He wants to systematically destroy every relationship she has until she willingly crawls back to him. First, he hacks her email and sends a vicious, unforgivable letter to her sister. Her sister cuts her off completely. Next, he targets her protector. While Cecilia is talking to her cop friend's teenage daughter, an invisible hand strikes the girl violently across the face. The daughter screams. The cop rushes in. He looks at Cecilia. He looks at his crying daughter, and he makes the only logical choice. He kicks Cecilia out of the house. In a matter of days, the invisible man has stripped her of her family, her sanctuary, and her mind. She is entirely alone. Desperate, she takes an Uber back to the place where the nightmare began, her abuser's empty mansion. She breaks in, searching for any proof of his technology. Deep in the lab, she finds a massive vault. Inside, the Holy Grail, a full-body suit covered in hundreds of microscopic holographic cameras. It bends light perfectly. It is the ultimate weapon of stealth. She hides the suit, finally securing the proof she needs. But as she turns around, the atmosphere in the room drops. He is standing right there, and the hunt is back on. She barely escapes the house, running for her life. She has to tell her sister the truth before it's too late. Cecilia begs her sister to meet her at a crowded upscale restaurant. This is a calculated move. A public place, hundreds of witnesses, cameras everywhere. She is finally safe. She sits across from her sister, breathless, pleading with her to understand. He's alive. He's invisible. He did this to us. Her sister looks at her with absolute pity. She thinks Cecilia has lost her mind. But then, the viewer notices something chilling. The massive chef's knife resting on the table slowly lifts into the air. Before anyone can blink, the invisible hand slashes the sister's throat in a single, brutal motion. The restaurant erupts into pure chaos. Blood sprays across the white tablecloth. And in a move of pure sociopathic genius, the invisible entity forces the bloody handle of the knife directly into Cecilia's hand. Security guards tackle her to the floor. The cameras capture everything. To the world, her abuser is a dead victim of suicide, and Cecilia is a cold-blooded murderer caught on tape. Checkmate. Cecilia is locked inside a maximum security psychiatric ward. Padded walls. Heavy sedation. No one believes a word she says, but her nightmare is about to reach an entirely new level of horror. The doctors inform her she is pregnant. Her abuser had secretly swapped her birth control before she ever left him. He didn't just frame her for murder. He anchored her to him for the rest of her life. His lawyer brother visits the asylum, offering a sickening deal. Drop the Invisible Man story, have the baby, come back to the mansion, and all of these murder charges will magically disappear. She realizes the brother is in on it. He is helping fund the torture. She refuses the deal. But as the brother leaves, she steals his premium ink pen. That night, in her isolation cell, the temperature drops. She knows he's in the room with her. She speaks out loud, threatening to end her own life rather than give him the child. She raises the stolen pen to her own wrist. Instantly, the Invisible Man grabs her arm to stop her, but she wasn't trying to end her life. It was a trap. With lightning speed, she violently stabs the pen into the empty space where his shoulder is. The pen connects. Sparks fly. The optic suit glitches, flashing in and out of visibility. For the first time, he is vulnerable, and Cecilia goes on the absolute offensive. The Invisible Man is furious. He throws her across the room and busts out of the cell, but the psych ward guards are waiting in the hallway. What follows is an absolute massacre. The guards can't fight what they can't see. One by one, trained security officers are lifted into the air, slammed into walls, and brutally taken down by an invisible force. Cecilia chases him out of the hospital into the pouring rain. As the water hits the invisible suit, it reveals a terrifying shifting silhouette. She manages to grab his gun, but he escapes into an SUV, leaving her with a haunting threat. He is going after her protector's daughter. Cecilia steals a car and speeds toward her cop friend's house. When she arrives, it's a war zone. The Invisible Man is brutally beating the police officer to death in the living room. Cecilia grabs a fire extinguisher, spraying it across the room. The white chemical dust instantly coats the invisible suit, finally revealing the monster. She pulls out her gun. She fires. The monster drops to the floor. Her heart pounding, she walks over to the bleeding figure. She reaches down and rips the high-tech mask off his face. She expects to see her billionaire abuser. Instead, she looks down and sees the lawyer brother. The police storm the billionaire's mansion. Deep inside a hidden room, they find her abuser, Adrian, tied up, chained to a radiator, looking like a kidnapped victim. The official story? The evil brother kidnapped Adrian, stole his technology, and framed Cecilia. Adrian is completely innocent, but Cecilia knows exactly how sociopaths work. Adrian orchestrated the whole thing. He used his brother to do the dirty work, ensuring that even if the suit was caught, he would have a perfect alibi. He won. But Cecilia isn't the terrified victim she was at the beginning of this story. She has evolved. She agrees to go to Adrian's house for one final dinner to make amends. She is wearing a hidden wire, with her cop friend listening in a van outside. Over an expensive steak dinner, she tries to get Adrian to confess on tape, but he is too smart. He denies everything. Then, he leans in closely. He looks her dead in the eyes, and uses the exact same word the Invisible Man whispered to her in the hospital. Surprise. He knows she knows. He is gloating. He is utterly untouchable. Cecilia smiles softly. She tells him she needs to use the restroom. She steps away. Adrian sits alone at the table cutting his steak. Suddenly, his own hand violently jerks backward. The massive steak knife slices deep across his own throat. He collapses to the floor, gasping for air, bleeding out on the expensive marble. Cecilia steps out of the bathroom, but she doesn't look panicked. She calmly calls 911, screaming in fake terror that her husband just killed himself. She walks over to his dying body, and she steps perfectly into the camera's blind spot. Slowly, she reaches into her bag and pulls out the second invisible suit. She didn't just survive his game, she learned how to play it better than he ever could. The police rule it a tragic suicide caught on security cameras. Cecilia walks out of the massive concrete fortress, holding the invisible suit in her bag, the same house she was terrified to leave just a few weeks ago. She looks out at the crashing ocean waves. The monster who ruined her life is finally dead. But as she looks down at the ultimate weapon of control now resting in her own hands, you have to wonder, what is she going to do next?